Welcome in week 3 of our NFL Survivor Pool picks, NFL Survivor Pool pick'em prediction video, whatever you guys want to call it. We are here to talk Survivor Pools and pick'em picks for the week 3 NFL slate. If you're tuning into this video on YouTube, I would highly appreciate it if you could leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that notifications bell so you get alerts when we go live, when we post videos. Cash Process DFS video is up, went up Tuesday night. So if you guys played DFS, I would suggest giving that a watch. My first thoughts on the week 3 DFS main slate. Obviously, I do live streams as well that you guys can tune into. We talk betting and DFS, all kinds of stuff there. So last week when we did last week was the first episode of this video. I told you guys and girls that watch the video, I would be doing this moving forward on Wednesdays. So last week when I did the video, I thought it was going to be very clear that Dallas was going to be the chalkiest team. And that made me like the Bills and the Giants with a lean towards the Giants. I also gave the stipulation that if you watch the video on Wednesday, lots of things for me can change from Wednesday till Sunday. So I said to tune into the Saturday night stream or the Sunday morning stream and get my final thoughts on Survivor Pools for week 2. You could have gotten the Discord as well and asked me in there. We were talking some stuff in there. So over the course, after I made the video, as we approached the weekend, I was still kind of firm on Bills or Giants, but I was leaning more towards the Bills than the Giants, even though Wednesday I was more on Giants. It kind of flipped. But then Friday night or Saturday night, I can't remember which, Travis is in the Circa Millions Survivor Pool contest, which is a big money entry. And he posts weekly in our Discord the percentage picks from the Circa Millions contest because it locks earlier. So he posted that in there on, I think, Saturday. And I was pretty surprised to see that Dallas actually was like third or fourth in terms of highest percentage picked. And that shocked me. So the Bills were actually the most popular pick, followed by the Giants. And then I think it was like very close between Dallas and Denver, which I thought was super crazy that people in a big money entry like that would be that confident in Denver this early on in the season. So once I had that information available to me, I told everybody watching the streams or in the Discord, I was like, I'm much more confident I'm much more comfortable picking Dallas if they're not the chalkiest pick, because I just thought early week, Dallas would be the most popular pick at home against Zach Wilson, but that wasn't the case. So I have on the screen here, if you guys are watching on YouTube, if you're listening to this, you won't be able to see, but I have my one of my main pools pulled up here on the screen. So you can see week 1, I have 4 entries in this contest. I went 2 Ravens, 2 Commanders in week 1. And then once I had that information that people weren't going to be playing Dallas that heavily, I wanted to just spread things out. I said on the stream on Sunday morning, I was comfortable. If you wanted a super low owned pick, I was comfortable with the Atlanta Falcons. Travis in that post from the Circa Millions, they only got picked twice in the Circa Millions contest. And there was a ton of late line movement on them as we hit the weekend. Like they went from like a 1-point favorite to like a 3.5-point favorite. There was a ton of movement towards Atlanta. So I felt pretty confident in Atlanta as a low owned pick. But when I saw how popular the Bills and the Giants were in that Circa Millions contest, I didn't want to go overboard on them. I was like, I just want to spread this out. And then if the Bills or the Giants or the Cowboys lose, that's good for me because I spread it out. I'll still have 3 entries if the other 3 teams get through, and then other people in the pool get their team eliminated. So on the screen, you can see week 1, I had the 2 Ravens, 2 Commanders. Last week, I just went Bills on 1, Cowboys on 1, Giants on 1, Falcons on 1. So all 4 of those teams won. There really wasn't any bombs last week. Like the only team I can think of that people picked that got eliminated was Denver. I don't know why people I liked Denver on the Wednesday video as like a low owned pick, but they ended up being like a chalky pick, which is just insane to me. There's no way I would have played Denver as a chalk team. And then a couple people in my pool picked the Detroit Lions and they lost. So I'm not sure if maybe in your guys' pool, some people took Lions as well. So I'm feeling pretty confident. I'm in some other pools that are smaller entries. This one was one of the bigger entry size I was in because it's multi-entry here. I have 4. This one where I only have used Ravens and Falcons, that's looking pretty good to me. But yeah, I'm going to stop sharing this now. I'm going to pull up the Vegas lines. We can start talking about week 3. All right. So I've pulled up the live trends tool here at Bet Karma. This is a very, very useful tool, which you guys have seen on the streams and the videos before, providing Vegas information. So let's start off with where I think the chalkier picks are going to be this week. Rule number 1 for me, I talked a lot. If you guys can go back and watch the beginning of week 2's video, because I did a lot of game theory talk and how I think that as DFS players, we can have a ton of success in these survivor pools if we play them the correct way using game theory like we do in DFS tournaments. It's basically a giant math problem similar to a March Madness pool, something that I and Travis and other people in our community have had a lot of success betting on the past few years. Rule number 1 for me in a survivor pool, I will never pick a Thursday team. I don't like betting on teams on short weeks. Weird things happen in primetime games, and it also, like, sometimes there's some really chalky picks in these Thursday games because people just want to get it out of the way. So I do not like to pick Thursday teams. You will very rarely ever, unless there's like a quarterback out or something, you'll probably never see me pick a Thursday team in this video. So I think that the San Francisco 49ers are going to be one of the highest owned teams this week. You can see right here on the money line, open at minus 425. They've moved all the way up to minus 575 on DraftKings Sportsbook at home against the Giants without Saquon Barkley. I think it's fairly certain Saquon Barkley's not going to play in this game. So I think a lot of people will be playing the San Francisco 49ers here, and I will be avoiding it. If you really like the Niners, you want to play them, it's fine. They're at home, go ahead. But for me personally, I try not to play the chalkiest team each week, and I also do not pick Thursday games. So now we have a combination where it's a Thursday game, and the 49ers I think are going to be a pretty popular pick. So I will pass on the 49ers, even though I think they're pretty safe. The second highest favorite on the board this week, actually the highest. Actually, there's two teams higher than a minus 575. So maybe they won't end up that chalky. I have no idea. We have the Kansas City Chiefs at home against the hapless Chicago Bears, minus 700 on the money line. I talked about if your pool rewards upsets last week, you could look at the Bears. Hopefully you guys did not do that. That was a disaster. The Bears are they're just a joke. But Kansas City at home, where they've been very good. They've already lost a home game this year to Detroit. I highly doubt they lose again at home here to the Chicago Bears. Minus 700 on the money line. They will be very, very popular. We also have the Dallas Cowboys minus 600. They're on the road, but it's against Arizona. Very, very, I mean, if Arizona blew a 3-touchdown lead, what game is Arizona going to win? Like if they build up a 3 TD lead on a team and they can't even hold that, I mean, what game are they going to win, honestly? So very good spot for Dallas, but I think they'll be popular. But I don't know. I thought Dallas was going to be popular last week at home against Zach Wilson. They weren't. So maybe Dallas isn't that high owned. Regardless, I think those teams will definitely be very popular. And then we also have the Jacksonville Jaguars at home, minus 410 on the money line against the Houston Texans. So how I'm looking at this is I definitely want to save Kansas City. I think Kansas City is going to be better as the season goes along. They managed to get a win last week against Jacksonville, but they didn't play great. Travis Kelce, I mean, he's still working his way back. He didn't look like the Travis Kelce of old yet. So I think Kansas City, they got Chris Jones back finally last week. They're going to get better as the season rolls along. They do have some winnable games later on in the season. So I would like to save Kansas City if at all possible. I would also like to save the 49ers, which is another reason I don't want to play San Francisco. I talked about this last week, but San Francisco has multiple games coming up against the Arizona Cardinals, obviously one of them being a home game. So I think it's very, very valuable to keep the Chiefs, and it's very valuable to keep the 49ers at your disposal. I'm going to pull up Kansas City's schedule here on my phone, and let's see. I know they have some winnable games because I looked at it. I want to see exactly who they play. Okay, so we'll start off next week. They're on the road, but it's against the New York Jets. They obviously have the Broncos at home. They have the Raiders a couple times. So I don't know. I mean, that's not great, but you could definitely use Kansas City against the Jets, even on the road next week. They do have a bunch of tough games, though. I don't know. They play the Chargers, so I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing to use Kansas City right here. I definitely would. I would rather keep San Fran at my disposal than Kansas City because you're getting a guaranteed home game against the Arizona Cardinals for San Fran, and I want to keep that available. Now, the problem with using KC though is there are other scenarios where I can see myself wanting to use the Chiefs. I don't really think there's another scenario where I'm going to want to use the Jacksonville Jaguars. If I pull up their schedule, this is the type of spot where I would want to use them. They play the Falcons at home, but Falcons have looked good in real life, so I don't want to use them against them. They play the Bills, not using it there. They have the Colts at home, so that's maybe a game you could consider. But then Saints, Steelers, Niners, Titans, Bengals, Browns, Ravens, not a bunch of teams that I really want to use Jacksonville against. So this could be the spot to kind of get rid of Jacksonville, which is why I'm interested in them. But I think it's between them and Kansas City right now. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. Initial lean up upon the slate, it was the Jaguars for me. So that's my early pick. Dallas has definitely some winnable games coming up that you could save them for. And then Eagles on the road, don't want to do that. Bengals, man, I don't know when Bengals were a team coming in you were excited about, but with Joe Burrow's injury and they're already 0-2, I don't know when we'll be I don't know when we'll be using the Bengals, if at all. But I have 4 entries in this contest. I want to keep 4 as long as I possibly can. So I think for me, it's pretty clear. People will be picking San Fran. People will be picking Kansas City, Dallas, and Jacksonville. My favorite of those is the Jaguars right now. But after looking at KC's schedule again, I wouldn't blame anybody if they want to use KC this week. As far as some lower owned picks, Seattle, they got a big win against Detroit last week. They looked much better than they did in week 1. They're minus 230 here at home against Carolina. Carolina, it's Wednesday. People in the fantasy space need to remember this. A lot of players do not practice on Wednesday. Practicing on Wednesday has nothing to do with your availability to play on Sunday. Not practicing on Wednesday is common. A lot of these guys rest on Wednesday. But Bryce Young, there are question marks of if Bryce Young can play in this game for Seattle. Even if he does, he hasn't looked amazing in his first 2 starts. They're on the road. I don't know. Seattle maybe could be my wild card team here. This interests me. They've moved from minus 205 to minus 230. They've moved from 5.5 to 6 points on the spread. Seattle Seahawks might be the wild card team I consider once the weekend hits. But overall, I think I've identified where the chalky picks are going to be. Initial lean for me on Wednesday, Jacksonville or Kansas City. Might consider Seattle by the time the weekend rolls around. Be sure, like I said, get in the Discord. It's free, betkarmachat.com. Download the BetKarma app. Click the chat room link. Get in there so you can ask me questions later on in the week. Saturday night at 9 or 9:30, depending, I go live on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube. Click the notifications bell. You'll know when I go live. So I'll be talking Survivor stuff then. And then Sunday morning, 11 a.m. prior to kickoff, I go live and we'll be talking about it then as well. But overall, these are going to be quick videos each week going over who I think are the best picks for Survivor. Hopefully you guys moved on last week. It would be really hard to have lost your team last week unless you picked Denver, which I don't know why you would have picked Denver over Buffalo or New York. But overall, thank you guys for watching. Like the video, like I said, appreciate it. Let me know in the comments who you're going with this week. And good luck in week 3. I'll see you guys for week 4.